What to do, y'all? This is your girl, Demetria McKinney, and you are listening to You Might Know Her From with Damien and Ann.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning this morning, good morning.
Welcome to another episode of You Might Know Her From.
With Damien and Ann.
I am Damien.
I'm Ann, and we are together Ann Curry's biggest fan.
It's true. It's true. I wish that I could have seen Ann Curry the day that Matt Lauer got fired from the Today Show.
It was one of the greatest things. It was just like one of the greatest pieces of retribution. It was just like she was treated so poorly by NBC and Matt Lauer in particular. And she was very classy about the whole thing. She's
Absolutely.
like a true journalist. You know, truth be told, I don't think she fit in with the Today Show format because she's like a more serious journalist. And so having to do like puff pieces about sort of like talking to Paula Deen about like puff pastry, and then also having to go into, you know, like the Syrian war. She just wasn't navigating that territory that the morning show requires of you.
I think it's a really tough gig.
She's a real serious journalist, and she was like, fuck this shit, it's awful. They made her cry as she left. And you know who I love now? Al Roker.
Me too. I've done a full whatever that is, 180.
He read Matt Lauer so hard on the Today Show Plaza one day recently. Oh, not recently. Like it was 5 years ago. Time is relative. It's a construct.
What did he say?
It was like something about throwing somebody under the bus. He was like, it was just like he basically alluded to Matt Lauer throwing Ann Curry under the bus and said as much.
Oh, can you find that and send it to me and also link it in the show notes?
Of course. It was like the moment where it turned for me where I was like, Al Roker's a genius. He really doesn't like the job, but like he's happy for it.
Yeah.
But he hates Matt Lauer.
You know what? Who I've been really fascinated with, not necessarily because I like them, but I'm intrigued by what happened to their career, and I think Matt Lauer had something to do with it.
Tell me.
Natalie Morales. She's now hosting. She went
to a different network, right?
First, she was hosting Access Hollywood
on
NBC,
okay.
So it was probably still part of her deal.
Right.
And then she was like only covering like the Olympics when they were in like Latin American countries, or then she was like covering like things that anything that had to do with like Latinx people. Then I saw a preview just last night. I almost videoed it and sent it to you. That she's like the host of like a Reels, like REELZ, like television network, like Brady Bunch hour about Florence Henderson. It's like it's like biography, Florence Henderson. It's like Natalie Morales like doing, and I was like, how she's fallen.
Obviously, I'm into that.
Yeah. I know.
Her career
but it's
trajectory,
interesting.
It's not a great fit for her career trajectory.
She also strikes me as too newsy to be doing that. Like
completely.
She's like she was
on the
right
track.
She was the right Today Show thing because she was like newsy, but also
light.
Not.
She kept it light. But you know, the rumors were that
I know. The rumors were
he
that
had sexually harassed her, or maybe they had a thing, but also maybe it wasn't consensual, but also maybe she was.
And then she was like, it was like
let go, like
it
sort
was
of let out of her contract, but she didn't get the sort of sad farewell that Ann Curry did.
No, because they sort of acted like she was like moving on to other opportunities, and then suddenly she was hosting the morning Access Hollywood with Kit Hoover, former Road Rules contestant, who I'm into.
I love Kit.
But I was like, this is not right. And then now I don't think she's doing that anymore, and now she is hosting the Florence Henderson.
Let's have Natalie Morales on the show.
I'm open to it.
If she's not under a gag order, this is an official invite for Natalie Morales. I know she's not an actress, but she had to act for whatever her tenure was on the Today Show. Like she was not offended by like a disgusting shit bag of a human named Matt Lauer. So Natalie Morales, please come to the show.
Name news anchors you would welcome
Meredith
to the show.
Vieira, no
Absolutely.
question.
Katie Couric.
I love Katie Couric. Sally Jesse Raphael.
Absolutely.
Lisa Gibbons.
Oh, I love her. Mary Lou Henner. She had a talk show.
Of course. Well, now we're getting into actress territory. Gabrielle Carteris, Tempest Bledsoe.
Yeah.
These were all women.
Carney Wilson.
Ricky Lake we have been courting Ricky Lake for a long time.
Her.
We love Ricky Lake. Also, she came out as a woman with alopecia.
Oh, I didn't know.
As in also Ayanna Pressley. Like a number of women are coming forward as being women that are suffering from alopecia or living with alopecia. So I'm very into Ricky Lake. I would love to have her on the show.
Kind of connected here to Ricky Lake.
Okay, tell me.
So the other day I was watching The Masked Singer.
Classic.
And the Miss Monster came out. She's essentially the monster, the T.I. monster from season 1.
Okay.
But you know, Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man. Like,
okay,
she has, like, a bow on.
Okay, but did they repackage the same costume?
No, it's different, but it's reminiscent of.
Okay.
And so she came out, and, like, her first package was about, like, it was like, I made a big splash, and I'm here to, like, rebrand because I, like, had some bad press, and then it showed her in like a locker, like in a school hallway. Do you know how the show shows like?
Yeah, of course. No, I'm just trying to think about who I think this is. Yeah, I know.
And it was like showed her in like a high school hallway in like a locker.
Okay.
Oh, and then the monster, like the size is like small.
Okay.
And I was like, is it Nikki Blonsky? Because I remember that she like had some bad press, and it seemed like a right avenue for her.
Right, and she, you know, Good Morning Baltimore, etc., Hairspray, Lockers, High School, etc.
Then they came out and sang, and it sounded like a very seasoned, soulful voice, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Shaka Khan, and then it was. But I was so into the...
Yeah.
I was like, is it Nikki Blonsky? And I almost tweeted it. I was like, I don't like spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody else.
Right.
And then they started singing, and I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't tweet it. But I wanted to tell you that I thought that Shaka Khan was Nikki Blonsky.
I have to say that the guest that we have on our show this week is a huge deal for us because it was the first guest that we had from the southern part of the United States. We went to Atlanta, Georgia, and had an interview there with Demetria McKinney, which was huge for us.
It was huge, and we were super excited to talk to Demetria because I was familiar with Demetria from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was a friend of in season 7, and she came on and like she had an acting career, and she was like had a whole singing career. But then it was like digging into her credits, and it was like, oh yeah, like you have a whole thing at the Muni, you know, like you've been doing the stage for years.
I was really taken with her when I discovered that she played Whitney Houston in the Bobbi Kristina biopic, and she is just sort of giving so much with sort of real restraint, meaning she's not doing some caricature of Whitney Houston. She really, I think, found some of the innate rhythms and heart of Whitney Houston. And I was sort of surprised to see just how good she was in the role.
Yeah, and she's also playing Whitney at like a difficult time to play Whitney without falling into sort of some of those I don't know. Yeah,
it's sort of like the stereotypes or the traps that you could get within biopics where they're just sort of like looking for histrionics.
Yes.
And the sort of worst case scenarios of all of the drama and trauma that like those movies sort of prey upon or are looking to sort of dramatize.
I think that one of the clips from Bobbi Kristina actually showed up in my Twitter feed, and someone was like, this is the performance of Whitney that we deserve in a real movie. Like she should. And I was like, oh. And then I watched the movie and I was like, yeah.
Damien and I were staying in a hotel room together, which you heard previously, but what was fun is that Demetria also brought her son Day, and so he was sort of like hanging out on the couch while we were doing the interview. He's an adult, but
he was with her. He was accompanying her. They were gonna get dinner afterwards.
Yeah, and it was very sweet. So it was cool to see their interactions together, and he was very much like, you know, the young man to his like professional mother, and it was very cool to see the dynamic because that was a first for us.
You might know her from
Tyler Perry's House of Payne,
Saints and Sinners,
Real Housewives of Atlanta,
Bobbi Kristina,
and Motherland, Fort Salem. Get hip to this interview with Demetria McKinney. We are kind of thrilled beyond belief at the fact that we are in Atlanta, Georgia, with actress and singer Demetria McKinney.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled and honored.
We're really so jazzed to have you here.
And also, it felt like as we were doing our research for the interview, it felt like a treasure trove. Like we just kept discovering things that we are excited to talk about.
That's always dope.
It is. It's exciting what we love about this project is like we always become bigger fans of the people that we are interviewing. And so it was like as we were uncovering things, and we're gonna get to it because like there was a real like late, like we were like, oh, we just found this one thing at the end, and it was like, wait, what?
Oh, dun dun dun! Plot twist.
Yeah, we have a lot.
So, Demetria, you played Whitney Houston in the TV One biopic about her daughter, Bobbi Kristina.
Yeah.
And so we were really sort of struck with how you nailed some of her cadences and rhythms and sound.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what you did to sort of find that and how it worked out for you?
Well, that actually began way before I ever got the role. I've stalked Whitney Houston, Nippy. I've stalked her from the time I knew how to use my voice. When I was growing up, I sang in the choir. Didn't sound good. It wasn't anything anybody would pay for. But she was always the voice that could tell the story I didn't know how to tell yet, if that makes any sense. Whatever mood I was in, she had a song for it. And I was just like, oh, all right. And then I'm watching her and I'm looking at her interviews and, you know, it's just I was like, you know, baby, that's not it. You want to do it, then you got to do it. I don't understand. What do you mean? I don't know her.
It's really
I don't
good.
think you know what I'm saying? Like, so when the opportunity came, that's something I always said I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that I paid her the best tribute that I could, tell her truth while still giving her the love and the respect that she is always and forever due. And it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, I was going to say that you've talked about her, so she's sort of like your number one.
Absolutely, without question.
So were there a part of you that was scared or hesitant to take it on?
Not at first. See, that's the bliss of ignorance. When they say ignorance is bliss, that's what they mean. Like I had always asked for it. I'd always prayed for it. I'd always said it even before she left us. And then when it came, I was cool. Like, I'm putting on the teeth. I'm smoking my cigarettes. I'm doing my tanning. I'm losing the weight. That part sucked. But then...
Can I interrupt? Did you have fake teeth?
I did.
Okay, so
I did. Like, we went in.
Okay, so we have learned in our podcast in the last year from a lot of actresses that like fake teeth are sort of what's happening right now in the industry as like the new way to sort of adjust and change what you do vocally and with your face.
Well, not only that, it's just like I have like little Tic Tac teeth. Like, they just look like half chiclets. And Whitney had those big, I mean, she was known for her smile.
Yeah.
And so anytime that my mouth opened, I wanted them to not only, you want to embody that, especially with this being my first time doing a biopic and being somebody that literally saved my life. I wanted to give those nuances. And so like a week into filming, everything's going cool, but then I'm realizing, I'm not in the gowns. I'm not over here. I will always love you. And I'm having to play Nippy.
Yeah.
That's different. That's totally different. The persona some celebrities give out and what they're willing to share with the world is sometimes very awkward to explore outside of that. Mm-hmm. And Nippy was a person. I know why the caged bird sung now. I understand her grief. I understand her pain. I understand most of all her humanity. And that's when it got scary, because this person that had been on this pedestal was now put on a pedestal, but for a different reason. With everything that was wrong with her, it's what made her right. It's what made everybody love her. It's what made everybody feel like everything she sung applied to their lives. And while she was doing that, she was extremely lonely, which is why Bobbi Kristina was just so, so, so important to her. Being a single mom. Hey, baby, I love you, baby. Baby, look at me, baby. I love you. He hates it when I do that. He's like, all day. But I understand that. And I think I understand it a different way because of what we've had to go through. But being Whitney and then being mom and then everything else was just a lot.
How did you overcome the sort of fear of somebody that you've sort of grown up loving your entire life? What did you do right before the camera started rolling? Did you have a ritual or something that you said to yourself to sort of get there?
I couldn't. Normally, I like to be a bit by myself, or it's very moody. If it's an upbeat kind of thing, if we're doing House of Payne, I know I need to be a jokester because I have to be so very serious once I get to being Janine. With Whitney, I couldn't have a clue what to do because as soon as I would think, okay, I'm going to do this, something else had to shift or something would just, for lack of a better word, drop into me. I feel like she and Bobbi Kris were both very involved in this project. We were in the spaces that they were in. We went to the Starbucks they frequented. We went to the Asian food restaurant that she had her birthday party celebration at. There was one scene we were filming on Bobbi Kris's birthday, and her favorite color was purple, which is mine. And we're in this bathroom scene, and it was tough. Like, it was tough. It was the passing. And they had yelled cut, and everybody's just really, really dark. And you look outside the window, and for some reason, there's just this balloon, this purple balloon right there. It still gets me. For nothing in my life could I stay away from Whitney. Everywhere I went, Whitney was playing. She was on the TV. And it was just confirmation that she was there with me. Mm. So I really feel like she got a chance to know how much she affected me in that.
It's a beautiful performance, honestly. It's really shockingly so good.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. I was scared, y'all.
Demetria.
Yeah.
You play Anacostia.
Yes.
The drill sergeant of an army of witches on Freeform's forthcoming Motherland, Fort Salem.
Woo.
So correct us if we're wrong. Our research shows you were in the military in real life?
No, my parents were. I'm a military brat.
You're a military kid.
Yes. My mother and father were both in the military. We moved around a lot. My mother was very, very militant, very disciplined. And, I'm a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal. So that was a big contrast. Mm-hmm. When Anacostia came across, I was like, oh, I know her.
Yeah, did you draw on that experience?
Ask me again. I mean, Anacostia, it's so cool because what you get to experience as an actor is you get to live a life without consequence. And sometimes you get an opportunity to understand a different perspective. Anacostia was so cool because she's, I don't know if I can say badass.
Yeah,
can I say that?
Of course.
She's such a badass. Like, I've never gotten an opportunity to play anything like that, to be anything like that. And seeing who she was and combining it with who I was just a really cool dynamic of both worlds coming together and making peace. So I'm really, really excited for everybody to get to see this. It's just such a parallel universe in so many different levels. Boy, y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready.
So you're a witch, right?
I'm a witch.
But you're like teaching. You're like their mentor.
Oh, Okay, so you have the normal witch stories, and there's no shade, no tea. This is not a diss track, but there's no bippity boppity boop. There's no wand. There's no rubbing on there's no book. There's there's none of that. The magic is based so deep in reality that you feel like anybody can do it. On top of that, the magic is being performed by women. Girl power. Yeah. Hallelujah. And then we're fighting the wars. So you have all of these women who may not know exactly what their gift is, but they are part of the draft. They are the people who are saving our country. They are the people who are saving humans' lives. They are the people who are fighting against other witches and other different entities. It's just a really cool dynamic because it's time. It's time. And a network like Freeform being willing to take that kind of a risk and be so inclusive and to be so complimentary of what we all have to offer. It's so prismatic because while we're representing women as hard as we are, hoorah, we're also representing the LGBTQ. We're also bringing men and their roles that they play, even in the flip side, to the forefront. We're showing that we all really need each other. It's just through a different lens. It's just so cool, y'all. It's so damn cool.
It seems like your role, though you're a drill sergeant, also maybe you're mentoring these young women. Did any of that translate on set where you sort of you had seemed like a barrage of young witch actresses?
I've never worked with so many young people in my life.
Yeah. What is that?
And you were all in Vancouver together, is that right?
We were all in Vancouver. Okay, so picture it, Sicily, 1947. First of all, we're in Vancouver. I've never been there. That's a whole new world. You like that, didn't you? And so we're in Vancouver, and we've got all of these young ladies, such beautiful, talented young ladies, but they're from Sweden. They're from Africa. Oh. There's one from America. There's another one from Vancouver. So there's one from London. Shouts to Lynn. There's just so many differences that brought us together. And in those differences, we had to get to know the differences of all these other people. Now, myself and one other young lady who I just shouted out, Lynn Renee, we're the more spring chickeny versus the summer chickeny versus the spring chickens,
Yeah.
So we naturally took them under our wings. We may have had a little bit more experience with certain things, but their leadership came through in different ways, which was really cool. The guy to my right, my kid, he teaches me stuff every day. And, I'm walking around like, yo, I'm the adult. I birthed you. But I found the same experience with them, and they were willing to be
like,
sponges.
what's TikTok?
Like, bruh. He was like, you should get TikTok. I was like, I don't have time. But they were really, really cool. And I've been in some dynamics where it was all women. That wasn't fun. So I didn't know how this was going to go. It went amazingly. I'm looking forward to working with these young ladies again and being a part of that world that is Motherland.
I'm excited for you because it's such a different, it's a departure from a lot of stuff that you've done.
Absolutely. 2019 was really about setting the foundation to be a different me. A more pronounced me, a more universal me. I'm more open to what I didn't know I could do. And I think that getting this role kind of helped with that because once I did Whitney, I was like, yo, shit was hard. I don't know if I want to do that again. It was scary. It was really, really scary. But getting to be into Anacostia and getting to be in this different space and going through the training, it just showed me how much I'm capable of. And it really enhanced the womanhood within me.
What is the voice that you're doing for Anacostia? I feel like when I asked you about it, you did it initially. Like your vocal work is very good. Like, is that like your mother? Is that who you're channeling?
Oh yeah, Daquan knows that. Yeah, I wanted Anacostia to be strong. I wanted her to be militant. I wanted her to have that disciplinary factor that would keep these girls alive because at the end of the day, that's her job. She understands that. But because of the humanity and because of the relationships that she has with other characters, some of these girls peek through and get behind the velvet rope. And I wanted those dualities to show. So when she's in... Ladies! I mean, it's dang near a mix between Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Wesley Snipes. Like, I want that peace and that fire at the same time. I want those notes to be very different when she is in her softer moments, when she is a little bit afraid. But that's what I love about Elliot Lawrence's writing. Shouts to you. He's just really, really good at making sure that no diamond loses any of its colors. It may be a different shape, it may be a different texture, all of that, but they all have their own different arcs. Anacostia, she starts off like when y'all first see that shot, it's just like, oh, she don't got to say nothing and she commands that. But then as the story progresses and you're actually crying with her, like that's when you've got something really, really powerful.
Oh, you got me excited for it.
Ooh, I cannot wait, yo. We were watching it, like they sent me the teaser so I'd be able to talk with knowledge.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, my 21-year-old is like, yo, I'd watch this. Y'all gonna get a second season. And he had never said that about anything else I had done before.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, I got hyped.
No,
it's
we're
amazing.
so excited because we were like, wait, what?
I was like, is this witches?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
like
it's with the, like, y'all saw the trailer.
Yeah.
A balloon.
Yeah.
A freaking balloon is killed. Like, boom. Like, that's it. That's all they got to do. Like, one of the crew members we had taken a long weekend. He came back. He said, y'all, no lie, this show is so good. I'm working on it. I see the effects. I know the story. But when I was mowing my lawn, a balloon was outside and I did not want to go. For like 30 seconds, I hesitated. That's what we want. For all of you who are like really into that sci-fi, that genre, Dragon Ball Z. Remember how they do the Kamehameha?
Yes.
Once you see that, you know it's about to be some like we have all of these different magical components that make you feel like you can do the magic.
I'm excited because I love witches, but like the post-apocalyptic part, I was like, not for me. But then there's all women, and that is for me. So I'm really excited, and I feel like your energy is making me excited for it.
So we're like having the time of our life in Atlanta this weekend, and it's very cool that you are Atlanta based and you've made your home here.
Yeah.
But you also have this long-standing relationship with Tyler Perry, dating back to seemingly the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to figure out sort of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. Did you decide to make your home in Atlanta and work from here, or did the sort of work from Tyler Perry beget you choosing to make your home here?
You know, I'm finding that the more really ignorant I am, the better decisions I make. I didn't really have a rhyme or reason for getting to Atlanta. I knew I wanted to be involved in the entertainment industry. At first, it was music. I always wanted to sing. Whitney Houston. But then when I started with Tyler Perry's stage plays, you know, I was like, oh, you can actually really make money doing this stuff. You know, just when we got off tour and wanting to make the transition and have some kind of stability while being able to grow, having a kid, I felt like Atlanta was the next best thing. Right alongside that is when he decided to open up Tyler Perry Studios. And I had no reason to believe I would ever be able to be a part of that. But then when he called, he was like, hey, this is Tyler Perry from Tyler Perry's, you know, Tyler Perry. And I'd like for you to come and audition for I'm there. So Janine was born. She was supposed to be in 4 episodes, and she ended up being there even on today. So I think the transition to Atlanta had neither anything to do with Tyler Perry or knowledge. I think it's just, you know, listening to the voice within yourself that says, okay, time to go.
Have you ever felt that pull that you needed to like be in New York or Los Angeles, or has it like felt good to be in Atlanta because it's a little bit removed from all of that?
You know, I'm actually starting to feel the pull a little bit more. I feel like I've been here years, so I feel like I've done a lot of what's here. If they need me, they know how to get me. I'm pretty familiar with the casting and the projects, even though it's ever evolving. But stretching my legs out in Vancouver was pretty dang cool, you know? So getting to do some Broadway would be dope. Getting to do some stuff in LA would be great. I've done some stuff in Chicago, but the sky's the limit now. I'm open to everything.
We're going to get to all of that. But you were talking about Janine. And so basically between House of Payne and the Paynes, you've played Janine in almost 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So you're entering into the life of the same character in multiple iterations. But how do you keep it fresh when you're doing that many episodes with the same person, the same character?
I think it has so much to do with the writing. It has so much to do with the writing. You can act your butt off. You can tell a great story, but if nobody wants to hear it, who cares? I think that because she was so arced, even in just the first, 200 plus episodes that we did, coming back and getting to see where they are, people fell in love with them. So I feel like the less we're trying to tell the story versus the more that we're trying to involve people back in the family that they grew up loving, I think that's been the key to it all.
Yeah.
And she's just zany, you know, she's her own entity and people are always rooting for her.
Do you get recognized a lot on the street for Janine? Like what kind of energy do you get from people on the street?
It's nothing like being out and you got on your Gucci gear and you got your kid with you and somebody goes, that's the crackhead. And then on the flip side, it's like, oh my gosh, but they watched it. Because right after that comment, someone will come up and they'll say, you know, I didn't mean any harm, but you know, you helped me figure out how to deal with a family member who was dealing with that. I wasn't so judgmental. I knew that they wanted the help. I understood that it was a bad choice versus just a desire, you know? I think it's great. Anytime you're doing work and people recognize the work, it's wonderful. Now, the more people that come and ask me how Janine and Malik are and the twins and when did I birth them, look, I gave birth to 2 throw pillows. That was that for the show. But we're all still very close and we all still root for each other.
And House of Payne, it's coming back now
On-
to
oh,
BET,
yeah.
right?
On BET.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's exciting.
we've already been in the filming process. Shouts to Tyler Perry. I don't know what he does to get all that stuff out because he's filming multiples of multiples at the same time. But with that, everybody's gotten an opportunity to grow. So some of us were doing, like I was doing Motherland, and they just worked with it. So yeah, it's back. It's coming.
Okay. Demetria. You were a cast member on season 7.
Oh my God! I knew it was coming.
Of Housewives of Atlanta, which is my favorite city of Housewives. What inspired you to do reality TV? And like, did you have any concern going in as like about affecting your reputation as an actress and a singer?
Woo! Okay. First off, I didn't watch the show beforehand, but everybody talked about it to the point where I knew who Nene was. I knew who all these people were, and some of them I actually knew before the show. But what they told me was that they wanted to clean up the image. I think it was like right after Portia had done her thing with Kenya and hair and all that stuff. They were really saying that they wanted to clean the image up, bring in more positivity. And on top of that, I was launching my music. And I was like, everybody knows me for these different characters. Why not show them me? Got involved, realized it was a whole shenanigan, and just tried to do the best that I could to protect me.
I feel like you came out on top. I feel like you seemed really classy, and then you came back season 8, and I'm very into your song that you released with Candy. Because that was season 8, right? You came back and you you were like just on for it.
Real quick, and then got out.
You're an artist.
Yeah. And I'm sensitive about my stuff.
You can say shit. Okay, so one of the things we were excited to learn about was your stage career. Specifically for me, that you seem to maybe have a relationship with the Muni, where I'm from Missouri, and I grew up going to the Muni. Like, that was my regional theater.
Yeah.
And so you did Dina and Dreamgirls there, and also Glinda in The Wiz.
The Wiz, yep.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit? You said maybe Broadway is something that you would aspire to. Has that always been true for you?
Always, always, always. For me, it's the best collision of the two things that I love. I'd get a chance to sing. I'd get a chance to have the live gratification. I'd get a chance to perform and act. And each night it's a whole different thing. That's one of the things I loved about touring with Tyler Perry. It's the closest I've had to that opportunity. But when people like Denzel Washington are still feeling like they have to go back there and make sure they still got it and they're sharp, that attests to what Broadway is. Yeah. And getting the opportunity to, make it in the Big Apple is something I would really welcome.
Like, did you grow up listening to musicals with your family, or?
No.
No?
No. That's ignorant. So my parents were very military. And that being said, when we came home, there was a very strict regimen. They were not only military, but my father was a deacon. Ha! Imagine what the boys thought of me. So when you got home, there was no phone, there was no BET, MTV, none of that stuff. Yeah. You couldn't have any friends over. You read the Daily Bread every morning. You went to church 4 days a week. And then it was just like, okay, chores. So what I got was Whitney Houston over the radio or Mariah Carey over the radio. Right. There was never any like real going out to a concert or going to see a show type thing. Now, when I went to college, I went for musical theater. And one of the requirements for that was that you had to audition for plays. You had to take vocal training. You had to do all of this stuff. That's when I got introduced to the world of theater, like in for real, for real. It was cool because I had never really thought about it, but I've always been kind of an idiot and just watched my emotions and been in touch with them. So when I had to audition, I kept getting the leads for them. I was like, oh, that's cool. Still gonna sing though, So that's where I got introduced to it. But things like the Muni, things like what Tyler does with his plays, and some of the other promoters that are putting those things out are sometimes the only real chance people get to see theater and really get to appreciate it. And they're not doing no little rinky-dink stuff. Like doing Dreamgirls, that came about. Jennifer Holliday actually asked for me to play Dina. Okay, I'm gonna say that again.
Yeah.
Jennifer Holliday, the original Effie, asked me to be a part of that.
How did that happen? Like, what is your relationship with her?
Bruh, I didn't have one. We were here doing a tribute to the Dreamgirls. All 3 of the originals were being honored. And when she went up there after we had done our performance, she got up there and she said my name. She was like, we have to encourage the generation that's coming up, like a Demetria McKinney. And I was like,
oh my
Tweet.
God.
Jennifer Holliday just said my name. And then she said it again. And then a month later, the call came. So it's like, oh, okay, it's an honor, but then it's also, now I know I got to work harder, because the person who requested me I can't let her down. I
Yeah.
can't play no games. And I don't want to let myself down either. But it was incredible. I learned so much. She has been just such a gem. And even now, we'll check in with each other, just see how we're doing, touch base. It was incredible.
What did you learn from her? Because I feel like it's so fascinating. Her career is so fascinating because like a Carol Channing or somebody who has like sort of played the same role, is known for this one role, is known for stopping the show mid-show and having Broadway on its feet for like 8 minutes.
Without question.
It's insane.
Yeah.
What was it like to sort of go and play Dina opposite her in that production?
You know, I feel like when I get those opportunities, I get a chance to get a different type of training. Seeing somebody who has done that and done that and done that and is still doing it the way that she is, watching how each and every time she takes in the moment, she's not cocky with it, she's not abusive of it, but she lets it fall on her. She lets that rain hit her soul, and she lives in that moment. And I don't think that as an actress, I was that in touch with doing that. I was always like, all right, so I got this work. Where's this next check going to come from? Because when we're not working, we're not employed. Okay?
Right.
So watching her take that in and watching her give her all, and I mean, there were days where she didn't feel good, but you couldn't tell. She may have had something going on in her personal life. You'd never know. And who she was at the beginning of the journey as Effie was not the same person as who she was now, but Effie never wavered. It was just so cool to watch how she was a master at who she was, and she let herself enjoy that. I think that I thought if I did that, it would be kind of whack if I did that, because I thought it was really kind of self-gratification, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you have to say, yes, I'm good at this. Sometimes you have to say, yes, I'm worthy of this. Sometimes you have to say, you know what? I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let this moment just massage my ego just for a moment so that I can continue to grow. And I so appreciate her for that.
It's so great to know that she was generous.
She was amazing.
That's so pleasing.
Bruh.
Yeah.
And also, okay, so you talked about obviously the influence of Whitney Houston and also your like love of the theater and also singing. Ever any conversations about like Bodyguard, which is a musical now?
Oh my goodness. I actually saw it. Deborah Cox does her thing.
I saw her on tour too.
Let me tell y'all something. I love Deborah. I ain't never met her, but she, in my mind, she's like a sister. But I'd claw her down for that opportunity.
Yeah.
You hear me? We would go full girl fight, squirrel monkey right in the middle of the street with a sign pointing at us.
I mean, someone should be producing that.
Right.
So you should be doing
I would
that.
I would absolutely love that. Now, I've been really careful about making sure that I don't overdo the Whitney of it all.
Yeah.
Because in no way, shape, or form do I want anybody to think that I think I'm the next or there's a replay. There'll never be another.
Yeah.
When the Bobby Brown movie came out, you know, there was an opportunity there, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not even going to try to do that. It was too close to the Bobbi Kristina thing. So I try to be very smart about the things that I can recognize, but the Bodyguard, that would be something I would definitely do.
I'm into it.
Yeah. Put that petition out.
You've played Tamara on 4 seasons of the nighttime soap, Saints and Sinners, where you get to play like a lot of heightened scenes. And I think if I'm not mistaken, your first scene is like one of your first scenes in your first episode is like you destroying your husband.
The whole
like,
studio took his life apart.
And then you like dramatically like show him the like sonogram for like his unborn child. Mm-hmm. What soap opera trope do you wish that you got or that you wish that you will get that's like, you know, like evil twin, relative coming out of the woodwork, you know, faking your own death, amnesia?
You know, I think that the beauty of soap operas was that you could do the things you couldn't do with regular scripted television. Mm-hmm. Tamara has had so many different moments that I just didn't see coming. You know, getting to tearing up that studio, let me tell y'all how much joy that brought to my soul. There's been so many guys that I've wanted to just, you know what, I'm going to key his car. No, I'm not, because I don't want to pay for nothing, you know, and I'm just not that person. So again, you get to live in this life without consequence. But I think that the thing that I would have wanted was the opportunity to play like I had lost it. That's where I was like, you know, y'all, let me drool, let me bobblehead, let me do all of these different things. And it happened last season. You know, she was accused of being crazy. She wasn't. They were drugging her, you know, so getting to just rage out in a different way was pretty dope.
Yeah.
They had me wrapped up. I was hugging myself. You know, it was a whole lot. But again, I like to live in stories where I can learn something. And I learned I don't ever want to be in that situation. So, yeah, season 5 is actually, hopefully, maybe.
All right.
Okay.
And so we shall see.
You'll be back if there's a season 5.
If there's a season 5, I would love to be back. I love that character.
Okay, one of the things that we learned just this morning and somehow was not on any of our other documents was the fact that you played TT in the stage version of Set It Off. And that is like a favorite movie
love
for
that
the two
movie.
of
I
us.
love that movie.
And so Debrat was Cleo, the Queen Latifah role from the movie, and we love that film so much. We also had Kimberly Elise on the show talking to her about TT, and I feel like she had very specific vocal choices in the movie. So, A, were you a fan of the film? Were you familiar with it?
Without question.
Okay, it's an excellent
It's classic.
film.
It's a classic.
So good.
Yeah, and we missed it, but can you, spoiler alert, sort of describe to us how they did the death scene on stage?
Because TT's death is so...
She's the first, well, okay, sorry, this is full of spoilers, but like you're the first one to go in the bank. And also, she is the one who sort of sees it all coming.
Yeah.
She's the one who sort of says, like, this is out of control.
We shouldn't
Let's
do
not
this.
do, yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me give this disclaimer. When something is a classic, you have to be really, really careful with messing with it. You don't touch a recipe when it's already great. When they came to me with this, I was like, oh, y'all want to put this on a stage? How can you put something so big on a stage? The cool thing is they figured out a great way. I think the cast was impeccable. I got to act opposite of Debrat. What's up, girl? I also got to meet and become friends with LaToya Luckett, and my bestie is Kyla Pratt. Oh. She's like the hoodest Smurfette you'll ever meet in your life. But, you know, when we got an opportunity to get into rehearsals and I was trying to figure out the best way to make the choices that didn't deviate from TT, but gave her a fresh pair of clothes. Ew, I like that analogy. I did good. So I was just trying to find those nuances that would make her memorable in this setting, because there's so much going on in such an enclosed space that you have to be really careful with what you're doing. She still had a lot of those classic moments. I need that money. You know, I had to keep those certain things, but then there were little jabs that she kind of took that let you know she still had a little bit of spunk to her too. And when it came time for her death scene, to be honest with y'all, I don't think I did a real good job because you know, I'm sitting there and I get shot. They drag me across the floor and I'm over here, and then the car, and then the this of it all, because they actually had like a 64 up there on the stage. And because it was just such a dynamic job that the Brat was doing, and then they got this car and the lights are going, I'm sitting here like, I'm dead, but I'm like,
Your
eyes
your
full
body's
open.
still on stage.
I can't be. My body's still on stage. Everybody can see me. Y'all can see you looking at me, and I gotta see it because Brat was doing her thing. Like, you know, people didn't really know her as an actress like that.
Yeah.
And she had never done stage before. She was so nervous, but every time it came time to put on Cleo, she put that uniform on and it was done. So watching her die was something that I had to do each and every night. It was an incredible time.
So
with
as
an
a corpse,
incredible
you were
tribe.
watching.
I was walking dead.
Yeah, you were dead with your eyes open.
Yes,
So you could, okay.
absolutely. I think I murdered it in all the wrong ways.
I'm here for that too. We screamed at the top of our lungs.
It was so dope.
Yeah. Demetria, now's the time of the show where we call it our rapid fire. We're going to just fire off things at you. You can take as much time as you want, but it just gives us a chance to sort of like go without any segues.
Got you.
Okay, Demetria, you're playing June Pointer in the upcoming second season of BET's American Soul.
Yes.
The Pointer Sisters had like iconic looks. What was the best part of your transformation into June Pointer?
The fro.
Yeah.
I'm natural haired, but I've never had that kind of a fro look.
Yeah. She had those iconic curls.
Absolutely. They put that thing on me and I was just like, oh yeah. I'm locked in.
One of the things I loved finding out about you is that you played high school basketball. You're 5'9" without heels on.
Yep.
I love a tall woman.
Yeah.
You've said your team was the 90s Chicago Bulls, which like same for me. Probably same for many people. But
Yeah.
okay, here's the question. Who was sexier, BJ Armstrong or Scottie?
BJ Armstrong.
Oh!
I liked him.
Oh!
Ooh. That hit me in my shining eye.
That was like the realest moment.
Oh, I liked him.
He was so smooth. He was so lean. He was so
Yes.
good. His shot was so
His shot
pretty.
was butter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And
Okay.
everybody else was after everybody else, so I had to get it where I could get it.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you some other ones. These are really, I'm going Steve Kerr or John Paxson.
Paxson.
Oh, okay. And Horace Grant or Dennis Rodman.
Horace Grant.
I-
Bruh, Tamia, you are blessed.
I love those goggles.
Wait, is that
you
Horace
wore.
Grant? Wait, who is she with?
No,
No,
I
she's
don't-
with Grant. She's
No,
with Grant
Grant-
Hill.
Yeah.
Horace
She's with-
Grant still.
Oh.
She's with Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that broke my heart too.
I love Dennis Rodman.
I love Dennis Rodman too. I also love Grant Hill, but they were like on opposite
Grant
sides
Hill
of the
was
spectrum.
totally, he's my guy.
Yeah. Horace Grant, though, the goggles I was very into.
Horace
It's not
Grant.
for you. It's not for you. All right. But BJ, okay, got it.
BJ without, oof,
Okay, good to know.
call me.
I'm adding one here.
Okay.
Demetria, at this point, the Payne's series have been on TBS, BET, and also OWN.
Uh-oh.
Who had the best craft services? Which network provided the best craft services?
Y'all gonna get me in trouble. OWN.
It's no surprise. They had that money.
Bruh, like you eating shrimp and stuff. You know.
Shrimp.
Yeah, scrimp and stuff and steak. It was like...
Okay, not only are you an actress, but as you've talked about, you're a very accomplished singer. Give us your top 5 voices of all time.
Wow, voices of all time. This is singing voices? Mm-hmm. Okay, of all time, of course, Whitney, Celine Dion. I would have to say Aaliyah. I would have to say Pink. And then I would have to say, and now I can't think of her name. Oh no, because she's from another country. And I just love her range. Oh gosh, and now I can't think of it. Dido. I did like Dido.
Dido.
But it wasn't Dido. You know what?
Like current old.
I'm a sub it with Aretha.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
It's a classic.
That's like the best like top 5 that I've ever heard anybody give an answer to. That you also had it at the ready, which I appreciate.
Aaliyah's such an interesting because like she could sing, but like.
But she was so mellow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I like when people have, like, Pink has that raw.
Like a texture,
yeah. Aaliyah, she's got that mellow. Whitney, she's got that everything. Aretha has that power. And then Celine Dion, oh my gosh. She can't pay for a bad note. I saw her 5 times in Vegas.
Okay, I saw her in Vegas last year. It was the best decision I ever made in my entire life. It was insane.
I went wanting to boo. I went looking for a... She's incredible. Like when you think about My Heart Will Go On, they say she did that in one take and she wanted to do it over. They would not let her. Mic drop.
Also, as she's become like a more mature singer, it seems like she knows her voice and like when to like take it down like half a step, or when she's like, I got it and I'm doing it. And I think that also is like just knowing your voice is like important and not, you know.
I think it's a combination of knowing your voice and knowing your you. Like she's grown into comfort. I could tell that, you know, rest his soul, Renee was a lot for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But since he has become more of her soul than a physicality, she's stepped into this whole different prowess. And it has been beautiful to watch.
How do you feel about the like 10 minutes of comedy that she did in her Vegas set? Did she do Ryan Reynolds material while you were there? Because I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I heard about it, but I did not see it.
Okay, so maybe she introduced it late.
It was later.
That was after the Deadpool song came out, I guess.
Yes. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, and I love her. She's also so strange. I love how strange she is, but she's also so elegant. She seems to operate in both spaces very comfortably.
Her vacillating between the different languages and the songs, and you know, she really takes you on a ride.
Okay, Demetria, I'm in a specific moment where I'm like living for Survivor, which has been on for like 40 seasons, and it's so stupid and so wonderful. But I have this theory that the people that sort of do the best are people that come from like military backgrounds. And so I was wondering if you were on the show, because you come from a military family, do you think you would do well? And what part of the show do you think you would be better at? Like the social game where you have to sort of deceive and lie and make your way to the end, or the physical games where it's like all about the challenges?
I think that because of the single momminess of it all, I would make it. Mm-hmm. Military or not, bruh, when you have to figure out how to feed a kid and you're young and you're homeless and blah, 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 yo, you can do anything. So for that reason, I think I'd be good at the survival part of it. I'm not a good liar. You can always tell when that's why I just got to be honest. Yeah. And it's just that. But the physicality of it, figuring out how to make it work, delegation, I'm great at that. I can always tell somebody what to do. But but I think that because of that, I'd be better at that part.
Do you watch any like shitty reality shows?
I try not to.
Okay.
But I'm being so transparent right now. Lately, just to escape, I have been YouTubing alone in the dark like I'm watching porn. But I'm watching Jerry Springer. I know!
Wait, no.
That is so
this is phenomenal news. Are you going back looking for specific episodes, or you're just like blanket, like click a playlist? Let's work through all of them.
Stick your hand in the candy jar. Yeah. It's always a good
And then
pick.
just like another one comes on and another one comes on. I've actually done it sort of recently, and it is interesting because like I watched that a lot.
Same.
I did.
Yeah.
But I was so ashamed.
Don't be ashamed.
Tell anybody. And now here I am at this phase in my life, and I'm back watching that.
It's some sort of like warm blanket thing. It's somehow like the nostalgia, the insanity of it, and also sort of it has informed where reality television has gone.
And where it came from,
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know, like, they be trying to come in my room and my door is locked, and I know he's like, what is she in there doing? It's Jerry.
Oh my gosh, remember his bodyguard? What was his name?
Steve.
And
he got his own
Wilkos,
show.
he had his own show.
That's,
Yep.
I was not into Steve having his own show. I was
Steve
like, wait,
kind of
what?
like looked like Lurch or something. Like he seemed
He
a little.
definitely
He was
did.
a strange.
He was a little Magoo.
Yes, exactly. He was really good. Exactly right. But I was like, oh, good for you, Steve, parlaying this into your own gig.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like Dr. Oz did with Oprah.
Yes. You were on the quad about a fictional college, so we were thinking about all of the varieties of fictional colleges throughout TV. So which one would you rather go to? So Hillman from A Different World,
I knew that was
University of Los Angeles, which was Fresh Prince, Georgia A&M, which is the quad, or University of New York, which was Felicity.
I think it would have to be Hillman.
I think it's kind of no question. Hillman seemed like the coolest place.
It was the coolest. It gives me that warm fuzzy, it was at a time where everything seemed a little bit more simple. Yeah.
We were very excited to learn that you've been directed by Jasmine Guy twice.
Yes.
Okay, so once in The Mountaintop and once in I Dream, where you played Coretta Scott King.
Yeah.
Can you describe the great Jasmine Guy in one word?
I just did it. Growing up and watching Jasmine Guy, even just as Whitley, and watching her do her music, she was always somebody that I looked up to. And then when I got an opportunity to meet her, and she was so humbled and excited to meet me, it was like, oh, okay, cool, that's dope. And then when we got ready, like I don't know why, but I think if I have a superpower, it's that I'm able to get off book really, really fast. So I walk in and she's like, all right, everybody grab your scripts. And I'm like, no, I don't need it. And she's like, bitch, I can't even do that. So I mean, she was just really, really down to earth, and she's funny. She doesn't take herself seriously at all, and she's not afraid to say what she doesn't know. I've met a lot of people in the industry who just want to show their prowess, and I've done this for X amount of years, and she'll be the first one to say, shit, I don't know. And I respect that, because that means we both get to learn and we get to have that memory together.
I love that, and I also love that she's in Atlanta and like
she's
giving
right
back
here,
and, doing the theater and all those things.
Absolutely, yeah, she's dope.
Demetria McKinney, this has just been beyond.
Oh my God, y'all are so fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming out, and Dave, thank you for coming and staying and hanging in the meantime.
Dave, she's talking to you, boy. He's so zoned out.
Folks, I was very into that interview. It's so so many things to take away. One, I'm really into that Demetria has had this career in Atlanta, and that she has had the opportunity then to work with people like Jennifer Holliday and Jasmine Guy, who now make their like permanent home in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Jennifer Holliday like called her out and then like got her the gig at the Muni is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then Jasmine Guy like directed her in The Mountaintop and in I Dream, which is like a Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King musical. Very cool, very into that. Yeah, and I'm just like into the idea of like Black Hollywood existing in Atlanta.
Yeah, and there's just like this whole new industry that has developed in Atlanta, a la New Orleans, which is also sort of given similar tax breaks to production companies there. So there are these little sort of pockets within the United States where people can sort of make a living and do really great work within the confines of sort of, like you said, like this little mini Hollywood. I'm really excited about how excited she was about Motherland Fort Salem on Freeform, because I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I'm ready to watch these witches sort of like militarize.
As I told Demetria, I'm not super into like post-apocalyptic world, but I am very into witches, and I'm into an all-woman cast.
Totally.
And the show premieres on March 18th on Freeform. I'm going to set my DVR and check it out. I'm super excited for it. I'm also into like her mimicking or like doing her mother.
Yeah.
The way that she like found that in her voice. I was like, yeah.
And she was like, Day knows. And I was like, oh. And then I was imagining the whole scenario where Day was like, oh, I get to watch my mom do my grandma like on TV now. Folks, if you liked what you've heard, if you liked that interview, make sure that you're sharing it with the people in your life that you like, love, and are on the fence about. You can share it with them via a link. You can share via a hyperlink. I really have been thinking a lot about hypercolor recently. Remember we went to that science store in Atlanta and we found all of those cool like goos and rocks?
I can't stop thinking about them.
If I had to say my 5 favorite things, one of the things on that list would be silicone.
Oh, never would have guessed. Did you ask for people to rate, review?
I don't know if I did.
Hey, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on the Apple Podcast app and wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, follow us on social media. You can find me at Damian Bleen, and you can find Ann where?
Rodeman, Rodemanne on all mediums. Know Her From is produced by Damian Bellino and Ann Rodeman. Special thanks to our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment, Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears. Editing also by Daniel Sears. All music by Gang. You can find Gang on iTunes or Reverb Nation. I dropped my voice for Gang this week. For a complete list of titles and names we mentioned, check out the show notes compiled at the bottom of each episode description.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. This morning. Good morning. I love Ann Curry. I hope she's okay.